It's 10 p.m. Do you know what your kids did today?
For your next home, choose one of the Brazos Valley's most tenured builders, Oakwood Custom Homes.
Local, trusted. This is News 3 at 10 on KBTX.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Clay Falls. Earlier this week, 2 local salons suddenly closed after being in business in the Brazos Valley for years. News 3's Kendall Hogan spoke with a former employee who says many of her co-workers are still without jobs.
Stephanie Portalis, a former hairstylist at Regis Salon inside Post Oak Mall, says things were going great at the salon.
We got new computers and new online appointment availability, which we did not have before. So things were looking really up. They had all these great promises.
That was until Monday, when she received a phone call that she describes as shocking.
But all your stuff has to be gone, gate closed, done deal. We were all just so disappointed and I think really in shock and not really having a plan how to do. We just need to grab our stuff and go.
The Beautiful Group, who owned Regis Salons, closed 300 locations across the nation this week, leaving hairstylists from all over out of a job right after the holidays.
Thankfully, I know a couple people in town that own salons, and they were really quick to message me and say, hey, if you need someplace, you're more than welcome to come.
Portalis now works at Ami Beauty Studio just down the road from the mall. She says she's one of the lucky ones who was able to land on her feet immediately.
First thought was all the stylists who don't have plans, or especially the new stylists in the industry, and where do you go and what do you do? And I think just anybody, whether you're established in your career or not, finding out so suddenly is just shocking.
In College Station, Kendall Hogan, News 3.
Master Cuts inside Post Oak Mall, which was owned by the Beautiful Group, closed down as well, and a new shoe store is taking its place. No word yet on what will replace Regis Salon. A big crash on Highway 6 delayed drivers no Riesel this afternoon. According to officials, a driver slammed into the back of a DPS trooper's SUV while he was working a 2-vehicle accident along the highway. The trooper was outside his vehicle when a white Dodge Charger rear-ended the patrol unit. DPS says the driver and 3 passengers in the Dodge were taken to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The trooper is okay, officials said. The Highway Patrol says this is a perfect example of why you should slow down and move over for emergency vehicles.
So we just want to make sure that people understand the law, make sure that when they see the flashing lights, the trooper is on the side of the road with the flashing lights flashing. The vehicle should have seen the actual lights, shining and things like that, and should have slowed down, moved over. Southbound lanes on Highway 6 reopened this evening. The investigation is still ongoing. Well, taking a look at weather this morning, kind of chilly, and then the afternoon it was more spring-like than early part of January.
It is. It's very unseasonable weather, but I don't think a lot of folks are complaining, especially after getting back from the holidays and trying to get back into the swing of things. Maybe it's putting away some of those Christmas decorations that you may have. You cannot find any complaints weather-wise to not be outside. Temperatures were at 71 degrees here in Bryan and College Station and really all across the state. Most of us were either in the upper 50s to right around low 60s, so it was very pleasant. And it's all thanks to this area of high pressure that sits down towards our south. You see a few clouds up towards the Panhandle, but really everything is quiet and calm here as we look here locally. But if you do have plans to be outside tomorrow, keep in mind winds are going to be picking up just a bit more. So if you're a little bit more sensitive to some of that tree pollen, may find yourself sneezing and sniffling just a bit more. But that's really about the only big thing that we're going to be watching. Good news is we've got a little bit of rain in the forecast, especially as we look towards the second half of this week. We've got some details to fine tune with it, but we'll get you what we know, the latest on that, coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you very much, Erica. Tonight, there's growing concern America is on the brink of war with Iran. There's reports Iran's military has identified at least 35 American targets, including U.S. naval ships. The threat is in response to that deadly airstrike that killed the top Iranian general, Qasem Soleimani. This comes amid new violence today when rockets were fired inside Iraq, one exploding near the U.S. Embassy. Ian Lee has more from Baghdad.
God is great, America is evil, they chant. Thousands flood the streets of Baghdad, promising to carry on Qasem Soleimani's legacy. Iraq's prime minister also joined the crowds of mourners who rolled out the red carpet for the bodies of Soleimani and Abu Mahdi al-Mohandes, the #2 commander of Iran-backed militias in Iraq. Soleimani commanded the respect of both friend and foe, designing Iran's deadly influence in the Middle East. He was accused of being behind the deaths of hundreds of American soldiers during the Iraq War. In 2006, he aided Lebanese militants Hezbollah in their war against neighboring Israel. And in later years, he helped President Bashar al-Assad crush the rebellion in Syria. He also commanded from the front lines as Iraqi militias fought ISIS, but President Donald Trump says he had a new target.
Soleimani was plotting imminent and sinister attacks on American diplomats and military personnel, but we caught him in the act and terminated him.
2 Reaper drones ended this perceived threat, firing Hellfire missiles at his convoy leaving Baghdad airport. Iran's supreme leader quickly named his replacement. This man, Ismail Ghani, Soleimani's trusted deputy for decades. It's unlikely any plan Soleimani had against Americans would be canceled, but rather galvanized with a new sense of purpose. As Iran's President Hassan Rouhani promised his family revenge, saying America will see the consequences of their mistake, not only today, but in the years to come. Tonight, thousands of additional troops are on their way to the region, but one final casualty of that airstrike might be the U.S. military presence in Iraq. Tomorrow, Parliament will debate kicking American troops out of the country. We're also learning this evening that Hezbollah is telling Iraqi soldiers that from Sunday night to stay a kilometer away from U.S. military bases. Ian Lee, CBS News, Baghdad.
U.S. service member deployments continue today from the Army's 82nd Airborne Division stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Fort Bragg's Green Ramp was filled with combat gear and soldiers who will depart from North Carolina for Kuwait. These soldiers from Airborne's 1st Brigade will join the 650 service members who have already deployed. In the coming days, the Department of Defense expects there will be a total of 3,500 soldiers in the region. The Austin community held a candlelight vigil honoring Heidi Broussard today, weeks after the mother was found dead in the trunk of a car in Houston. 33-year-old Heidi Broussard's body was found on December 19th, more than 1 week after she and her daughter, Margot Carey, were reported missing. Her daughter, who was found alive in a Houston area home near Broussard's body, is now safe and back home with her family. Houston resident Megan Firamusca, who was a close friend to Broussard, was charged in connection to her death. Firamusca has been accused of plotting to take Broussard's baby. Funeral services have been held for Louisiana sports reporter Carly McCord, who died last week in a plane crash in Lafayette. McCord's funeral was held at St. John Vianney Church in Baton Rouge. Family asked that instead of flowers, donations be made to a memorial scholarship fund set up in McCord's honor at Northwestern State University. The 30-year-old was among 5 who were killed in the crash as they headed to the Peach Bowl to see LSU play the Oklahoma Sooners in Atlanta. A man arrested in connection with an apparent robbery attempt and hostage situation in Illinois is now charged with sexual assault. Donnie Backus has details on the new charges.
For nearly 7 hours, police and SWAT teams surrounded this Rockford, Illinois credit union.
I have never seen ever in my life anything like this.
Police say just after 2:30 Friday afternoon, this man, 39-year-old Nicholas August, went inside the bank armed with a weapon, demanding people leave.
We later determined that it was one individual that was still being held hostage by the suspect inside.
The one person, a woman who was still inside, was held hostage by August for more than 6 hours. Police say during that time, she was also sexually assaulted. For hours, crisis negotiators tried to convince August to surrender. He finally came outside willingly, allowing his hostage to go free.
It's unfortunate when situations like this occur.
Police say the weapon August had was a pellet gun. He's now being held on a $2 million bond, facing several charges, including aggravated assault and armed robbery. Danya Backus, CBS News.
Australia continues to rage as more than half of the country is engulfed in flames. We'll have more on that coming up. Later in sports, the Aggie men's basketball team opens up conference play with a tough battle in Fayetteville.
And if you've been enjoying the weather we've had this weekend, get ready. We've got another beautiful Sunday in store for the Brazos Valley. We'll get you a full look at not only the second half of your weekend, but also what you can expect in the week ahead right after this break.
We are your Washington News Bureau.
Senate lawmakers here in D.C. are doing their part to fight the crisis.
We're here to get real answers directly from those you've elected.
Constitutional stand. We voted no on the 2 articles.
Finding out how the decisions made here in D.C. affect the Brazos Valley. Local, trusted, KBTX News 3.
News 3 weather from the Pinpoint Forecast team is sponsored by First Financial Bank. Local bankers putting you first. And now, local weather.
It has been a beautiful start to the weekend. High pressure setting in over really a good chunk of the Lone Star State means we're not seeing too much of that wet weather anywhere nearby. Most of the rain and storm activity sits across the northern parts of the U.S. and even out towards the East Coast. We do have an area of low pressure that's starting to move in off towards the west. That will be our next weather maker, but what's going to happen is this system's actually going to slide its way closer to the Great Lakes region, and it'll bring us a cold front, but it really won't be able to build in a lot more of that moisture. What you'll see is we're at Sunday. You'll notice dew points sitting into the low 40s. It's really pretty dry air overall. You can see down towards Houston, we've got some of those dew points trying to get closer to about 60. That's where some of that richer moisture sits, and once that front comes through late on Monday, may see a few isolated showers down closer to the coast. But we really just struggle to get any of that moisture our direction. So really, as this cold front comes on through, it will only dip our temperatures. We're not going to see any rain out of this one. We'll stay dry Tuesday as well as your Wednesday. Then by Thursday and Friday, those rain chances are starting to build back in. May see an isolated shower chance bleed into your Saturday as well. That just really depends on the exact timing of when that cold front tries to roll on in. Now, it's still really early. You'll see that these models are going all over the place as far as these rainfall totals go. It's because we've got a lot of discrepancies still on the forecast of when that exact timing is and where exactly that low pressure system tracks. We'll be able to work out some of those fine-tuned details in the coming days, but regardless, even if we could just get a half of an inch of rain in some spots, it would be much needed. You can see a lot of us still sitting under that moderate drought conditions with a few pockets still of severe drought where we could desperately need some of that extra liquid water. All of that's going to come with this next area of low pressure. It still sits up out by Asia. It's about 5,000-ish miles away, give or take, and we've got a ways for it to come here still before it makes its way our direction. And as it does so, we'll be building those winds back in out of the south as we head towards the middle part of this next week. It will be breezy, at times 10 to 15 miles per hour, sometimes gusting even closer to about 30. So if you've got some of that loose lawn items sitting outdoors, may not be a bad idea to move them inside or just a little bit closer to the house as we get towards the second part of this week. Then winds take that sharp turn back out of the north as we head towards Saturday. But you're not talking about temperatures that are going to be causing these huge wind chills. You'll notice even over the next several days, the coldest we're forecast to get is about 60 degrees for your daytime high on Tuesday. Then we're rebounding right back up towards the low to mid 70s Thursday as well as into your Friday with that next cold front coming through, only dipping us down at least right now into the mid 60s as we look ahead towards next Saturday. So a pretty mild week overall as we look ahead. Temperature wise this evening, it's a little bit cooler out there, low to mid 50s, winds now back out of the south. So that's actually going to keep us just a little bit warmer as we head into the overnight hours tonight. Few locations are sitting into the 40s this evening. I do think the rest of us make it into the low to mid 40s pretty much all across the Brazos Valley to start your day on Sunday, and then it's plenty of sunshine from start to finish. Temperature wise by lunchtime, most of us are sitting into the mid 60s, and then we're trying to get closer to about 70 degrees if we can for the afternoon hours. Don't think we'll make it into the mid 70s tomorrow. I think that wind's just going to keep things mixed up just a little bit more. But one thing we will start to notice is we'll see those mid 70s trying to make that appearance again as we get towards Thursday and Friday. And that comes with that next big weather maker that we're tracking for the end of this next week.
We could maybe see a little bit of rain, as you said, but just conditions aren't setting up to get a lot enough moisture out there right now to make it happen.
Not just yet, but we could desperately use some, and we'll keep an eye on the forecast for the second half of the week.
Hopefully we can have some drought busters coming up in the spring too, maybe.
I hope so.
Thank you very much, Erica. We'll still ahead the latest on the Australia wildfires that have now claimed the lives of 23 people. Fires are raging across more than half of Australia tonight. Extreme heat made parts of Sydney one of the hottest places on Earth today, a record 120 degrees. At least 23 people have been killed from the fires. Ursula Hager has more from Australia.
Australia continues to rage as 3 brush fires have combined to form one single blaze, bigger than the New York borough of Manhattan. Firefighters continue to fight more than 200 out-of-control brush fires throughout the country, which continues to threaten residents.
I'm probably 70% sure that our house will go by the size of that fire.
The deadly fires have destroyed more than 1,300 homes and burned more than 12 million acres. As the fires inch closer to the cities, communities are being told to evacuate.
Unless you are prepared to the highest level to defend your home, residents living outside the main areas should leave immediately
To help, the Australian government mobilised around 3,000 Army reservists along with aircraft and Navy ships, a large-scale deployment not seen since World War II.
We have seen this disaster escalate to an entirely new level.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison.
The ferocity and the absence of dousing rains that would normally bring a season like this under greater control is nowhere in sight. And so that means a much longer season is planned for.
There is still a month left in fire season here and the weather is not cooperating. There is still record-shattering heat and strong winds in the forecast. There is no end in sight as of yet.
Amid the wildfires, the Irwin family is continuing Steve Irwin's legacy of rescuing and saving wildlife in danger. Bindi Irwin and her family, who own and operate the Australia Zoo, have dedicated the past few weeks to treating and saving as many animals as they can that have been hurt in the devastating wildfires in Australia. The 21-year-old animal and environmental activist said they've been busier than ever and have treated over 90,000 animals for injuries sustained. Coming up next in sports, the
That's all good. They do start conference play, plus the Bearcats are also in action. And the Houston Texans with an incredible comeback in the AFC wildcard round.
Sports is sponsored by Allen Honda, corner of Southwest Parkway and Highway 6. Allen's got your Honda. From the KBTX Sports Center, News 3 Sports starts now.
The start of SEC play, the Aggie men's basketball team wrapped up non-conference play on a 3-game winning streak and are 6-5 overall heading into tonight. But now the real season starts and the Aggies clash with Arkansas to start their conference schedule. Last year, the Aggies got their first victory at Bud Walton Arena, now looking to make it 2 in a row. First half, Wendell Mitchell lets it fly from deep, and he buries the triple. That gives the Aggies a 1-point lead. Mitchell finishes with 13 points. The Razorbacks would end the first half on a 9-1 run. Mason Jones's 3 plus the foul is part of that run. 4-point play helps Arkansas grab a 42-33 lead at the break. Texas A&M would chip away at that lead. Andre Gordon's jam here cuts the Hog advantage to 4. Gordon led the Aggies with 15 points. A&M would get as close as 2, but could never take the lead. Isaiah Joe was a big reason why. He hits the triple here as the shot clock expires. That puts Arkansas in front 55-50. But Joe was not done there. Under 2 minutes to go, he hits a deep 3. Joe scores 17 points. Arkansas gets the win, beating Texas A&M 69-59 in a game that saw the Aggies commit 17 turnovers.
Our preparation was good. I thought we handled an incredible college basketball environment in many respects about as well as we could. It's just so hard for us to overcome the turnover rate that we have.
The Aggies will be back at Reed Arena to host Ole Miss Tuesday night. Sam Houston Bearcats in a doubleheader at Johnson Coliseum, men taking on Nichols. Now Nichols had control early. D'Angelo Hunter gets the ball in the wing and he's going to knock down the 3 that makes it a 21-10 game. Sam Houston, though, going to chip away at that lead. Xavier Bryant drives in. He gets the layup to cut it to 4. It's 26-22. Into the second half now. Kai Mitchell with the rebound gets it up to DeMarcus Lampley for the layup to stay within 6. 41-35 ball game, and that's the closest they would get in half. Elvis Harvey Jr. hits the 3 for the 11-point lead, and Sam Houston falls to Nichols 70-58.
We were not what we needed to be tonight on both ends of the floor, and it's not time to sit up here and make excuses because there's no excuses. We just weren't ready. I thought we were really ready to play tonight, and I was very disappointed with the start of the game. I could tell from the beginning our defense wasn't intense enough, and they have a lot of talented players, and we let some of those guys get really comfortable.
The Bearcats will stay in Huntsville on Wednesday when they host Southeastern Louisiana. Now, the Bearcat women were looking to move to 4-0 in Southland Conference play today with a win over Nichols. Third quarter, Courtney Cleveland finds Faith Cook. She knocks down the 3, and that's going to put the Bearcats up by 16, 55-39, big lead. Into the fourth, Nichols cutting into the lead. Takeria Williams hits the triple and makes it 64-55, but the Bearcats continue to add to their advantage. Jalen Walker out of Calvert off the rebound, makes a nice move, pulls up and hits the jumper, makes a 9-point game. Sam Houston goes on to win 87-71.
We like to play fast, so when people slow us down, it kind of gets us out of the groove of things. That's something we've been working on in, with the break. But I think once we play fast, I think it helps us to our advantage because we like to keep the pace.
The women continue conference play on the road at Southeastern Louisiana on Wednesday. The AFC wildcard round, Houston Texans hosting the Buffalo Bills. Visitors take the opening possession of the game, and they'll cap it off with quarterback Josh Allen catching a 16-yard touchdown pass from John Brown. That was the only touchdown of the first half. Buffalo led 13-0 at the break. Bills go up 16-0 in the third, but Deshaun Watson on the keeper. A great block there by Aggie 12th man Colin Gillespie, and that helps Watson into the end zone. Texans would get the 2-point conversion to make it a 1-score game. And a field goal later, Watson finds Carlos Hyde for the score. Buffalo responds with a field goal to send this one to overtime, tied at 19. Then the play of the year for Houston. Watson, swarmed by Buffalo's pass rush, somehow avoids the sack and finds Taywon Jones for the only catch of the game. That sets up the game-winning field goal, and the Texans advance past the wild card round with an incredible comeback, 22-19. And Aggie quarterback Ryan Tannehill also in the wild card round. His Titans taking on the defending Super Bowl champs New England. First quarter, the former A&M signal caller goes to Anthony Ferkser for the 12-yard touchdown pass. Titans go up 7-3 early on. Second half, now a Sam Houston Bearcat on the Titans defense. Derek Robertson gets a big tackle for loss to force a fourth down. The rookie helps Tennessee keep their slim 14-13 lead. Same score with under 3 minutes left in the game. Tannehill with a big first down throw to Ferkser again. And then Logan Ryan seals it with a pick six to end the game. Tannehill in his first ever playoff game helps the Titans beat New England 20-13. So cool to see Aggies in action, and not only in action, but taking down the defending Super Bowl champs. So.
Absolutely. If you're a Texans fan and a Tennessee fan, a lot of fun, and neat to see Tannehill have a great game like that. He was so much fun at Kyle Field to watch play here just a few years ago.
Yeah, doing it on the big stage now.
Awesome. We'll see what happens next. Thank you very much, Tyler. We'll be right back, but first, a quick look outside from our Live Network.
News 3 at 6 with Kathleen Whitty and Rusty Surratt. Weekdays. Here are tonight's winning lottery numbers, sponsored by Star Furniture and Mattresses. Come see the new star, starfurniture.com.
Clear skies out there. That means temperatures are falling quickly, but most of us still sit into the 50s. Winds have turned back out of the south, so what that's actually going to do is help keep us at least a little bit warmer as we head through the overnight, so not quite as chilly as where we were last night, though I do think a lot of us make it into the low to mid 40s. As we head into the day tomorrow, it virtually looks like today. Plenty of sunshine. Temperature-wise, we're back into the upper 60s, right around low 70s. Just got a little bit more of a breeze on hand, and it's coming out of the southwest, so that means if you are sensitive to some of that juniper, some of that cedar, you may be sneezing and having a few more of those sniffles as we head throughout the day tomorrow. Should see the wind subside a little bit more as we head into Monday and Tuesday. We've got that cold front coming on through, but then winds come right back out of the south Wednesday, Thursday, and even into your Friday, and that's all building in the moisture for the second half of this week as we look ahead towards our next stronger cold front, which will actually knock down your temperatures from the mid 70s and then back into the 60s as we head into next weekend. So a lot of ups and downs, but generally speaking, I think it's pretty mild weather for this time of year, and most folks, I think, will enjoy being out and about for the next couple of days.
Chamber of Commerce weather, it's picture perfect out there.
It is.
So, thank you very much, Erica. That's all our time for tonight. Join us tomorrow night for News 3 at 10.